and good morning or hello, it's noon, and that means it is time for our lunch and learn. And so today I've got a couple of things I want to share with you. And one of the things I want to do is I want to talk to you about some new information that I just read yesterday. Did a little bit of research into it this morning, so I want to kind of clue you in on this. We try and be very trendy, but we also try and make sure that we have what you need. So we're going to talk about diabetes and electro smog. Now, all of us have electro smog in our atmosphere, in our environment, because it is part of what makes us connected, the internet and Wi-Fi and all that. So, but first, before I get into that, I want to do, as my Aussie friends would call, a walkabout. And I want to take you into another room and show you our O2 chair in operation. So I'm gonna grab you and take you, and I've got to negotiate around my office. But here we go. So just kind of walk with me. I'll show you some things. This is our new, remember I've been talking to you about live blood cell analysis and all that. So we're learning a lot of that. And then we're coming in here into this room. And this is what we call our wellness room. And we have Trish in the O2 chair. Now it's really bright in here so you can see, but I am going to turn off the light. This is really what the room looks like when you're in here. And she is in the chair. So I'm going to move a little bit so you can see. The chair kind of swings. I'm not sure that you're able to see that, but hopefully you are. The chair swings a little bit and rocks her. And so what this does is if you look at her face, Trish, I'm going to get real close to you, so kind of just be there. She's got earphones on, and what she's hearing is waves, ocean waves, and birds and different things. And she's also got this tube going into her nose, which is 60% oxygen. Now, I'm going to let you finish up your treatment. The oxygen that we breathe is 20% oxygen. And so what we have in there is 60% oxygen, which means she's getting 3 times the oxygen that she normally gets. So what does that do for you? Well, it does a lot of things. Number one, it stops inflammatory processes. And so all sickness and all disease is a combination, and I'm going to try and get everybody situated again, is a combination of inflammatory processes. And so what we do is we work with our HRV instrument, and we take readings before you get in the oxygen chair, and then we take readings afterwards. What we're finding is this oxygen treatment, and it can be as little as 5 minutes or as much as 20 minutes. We're finding that it rebalances your hormones, it rebalances your minerals, it rebalances your neurotransmitters, it lowers your inflammatory markers, and it also recalibrates your telomeres. And so it helps you, or helps us understand how you are aging, if you're aging too fast and all that kind of stuff. So this is a new technology that we have in the clinic. And of course, we've got the live blood cell analysis that we actually got the microscope, and I will kind of turn, there it is, in that little plastic right here. That's my new microscope. And so I have been doing my own blood all week and trying to learn how to use it. And I can say, yes, I have blood. That's probably about all that I can do right now. But this is something that's coming in the near future. I should be finished with the courses and all that kind of stuff by the end of the summer. So I'm excited about that. But today I wanted to talk to you about diabetes and electro smog. So that's kind of where we are right now. So there are 3 types of diabetes. Now, this is some new kind of information that I did not know. I knew there were 3 types of diabetes, but the 3rd type, I thought they called that Alzheimer's, and now they're calling it electro smog-induced diabetes. So things are changing all the time. But type 1 diabetes, also known as juvenile diabetes, is definitely insulin dependent. You usually get it as a child. It's largely genetic, and it is only 5 to 10% of all the diabetics. Now, Dr. Tony Jimenez with Hope for Cancer Institute tells me, and he's a medical doctor, very, very smart, very, very into holistic ways as well. He tells me that type 1 diabetic is almost always due to a parasitic invasion in the pancreas, and if you can kill the parasites, that you can get them out of that condition. And so he definitely has something called the BX protocol, and he says that within a year, a type 1 diabetic is no longer a type 1 diabetic. So that's just something, if anybody's interested about that, that's kind of where we are with that. Type 2 diabetic is what most diabetics are. It is 90 to 95% of all diabetics fall in this range. It is adult onset, it's non-insulin dependent, and it is caused by lifestyle and obesity. So obesity is kind of a tricky thing because people always feel bad about themselves because they just don't seem to be able to get the weight off. But the weight is an indicator that the body is toxic. And so that's why when we do our weight loss clinic, we do liver cleanse before that. And then as we move forward with the HCG part, we are actually making sure that the body is able to get rid of the toxicity before we start loosing all of that. And so that's kind of part of where we are. If you are obese, right, that means you are 4 times likely, I think my numbers are right, you're 4 times likely to get diabetes, and then if you have diabetes, you're 4 times more prone to cancer. So we definitely want to get you where you're not in that situation. So to that end, we've got a lot of different help for you. We've got this particular formula. It's called DB8. DB stands for diabetic 8. And these are the 8 herbs that help you metabolize your blood sugar properly. So it's got lapacho, it's got blueberry leaf. Blueberry leaf is a natural herb that mimics insulin. And so this is something that we want to look at. You've got some herbs in here that help the liver, help the lungs, help digestion, anti-parasitic, antiviral. So this is definitely an herb that we use for the diabetics, and we have really, really good results. We've got this little pill. It's called Jambola, and I don't know why, but it's some kind of an herb that helps you metabolize your food properly without having sugar spikes. And so we do this with a meal. We do 2 with a meal 3 times a day. And then we also have this little baby, which is a glandular for the pancreas. Now, you may know of glandulars for the thyroid or the adrenals or something like that. But this is actually a glandular for the pancreas. So let's talk about the pancreas. The pancreas is the organ, part of the biliary tree. So that biliary tree includes your pancreas, your liver, and your gallbladder. All of those are working in conjunction with digestion. So if you're not digesting your food, then we're going to have some issues there. And so the pancreatic glandular goes in, rebuilds the pancreas. Now, if you have eaten the SAD diet, standard American diet, or if you've been, a college kid and you're burning the midnight oil and you're eating all the fast food things and all that, well, then you've probably depleted your enzyme supply. The pancreas produces enzymes that break down your food so you're able to metabolize your food. And so when you are older than 30, then you may not have the enzymes that you need to break down the food and metabolize the food and get the nutrients up. And so your blood sugar spikes because of what you have eaten, and that causes those issues. So these are some things that we can do holistically to get your pancreas back up to speed, get you metabolizing your food properly so that you're able to keep a stable blood sugar measurement. So we're going to look at, I found this on the LinkedIn. So I don't know if you guys are on LinkedIn, but I share a lot of things with LinkedIn. And I have shared this on my LinkedIn page. And if you want to find me on LinkedIn, you just look for Dr. Polly Heil-Mealey and you'll find me there because I have shared it. But I'll also try and share this study with you because they have some gizmos that are going to help you with electric smog or electromagnetic smog. So I want to explain what electro smog is. It is the contamination of the atmosphere by Wi-Fi, by computers, by cell phone, by any kind of geopathic stress that your body is not able to handle. So as you know, we do bioenergetic medicine here in the clinic, and so we know that if your systems are out of order, if you're not balanced, then the body's not going to have what it needs so that it is able to do what it needs to do in order to keep you well and healthy. Now, in my office, I have Wi-Fi in my office. What do I have in my office? I have my cell phone, I have my computer, I have a monitor, I have a wireless printer, and now I have a microscope that has a camera that goes into the computer so we can see what your blood looks like. So I am surrounded by EMFs, electromagnetic frequency. So when your body is not able to handle that, then you get toxicity, EMF toxicity. Now, we've talked about our DNA analysis that we have here. You come in and you give us 4 strands of hair, and we scan it through a little device that we have, which is also electronic. So what does it do? It gives us more electromagnetic frequencies. But we scan your hair with the root attached. We scan it to a lab in Germany, and they in turn analyze that DNA and they tell us what's going on in your system. And so a lot of times they'll come back and they'll say that there is some EMF toxicity, and this is what you do to resolve that. And so this is a real thing, and we've had people come into the clinic that are very, very tender, very susceptible to EMFs, and what they find is that they are an absolute nervous wreck when they are in the presence of electromagnetic frequencies, which is all the time. You go to get a coffee, it's a hot spot. You go to the grocery store, it's a hot spot. You sit outside in your car at Home Depot while your husband runs in to get whatever, and your phone will automatically hook up to a hot spot. Well, the fact that they call it a hot spot is really indicative of what it does to your body. It actually causes inflammatory process. So this particular study that I'm going to reference today was in a peer-reviewed publication, and it's entitled Electromagnetic Biology and Medicine. Okay, so this particular study was done in 2008. There's been some other studies, so this is something that's ongoing. And the title of the piece, the title of the article was Dirty Electricity Elevates Blood Sugar Amongst Electrically Sensitive Diabetics and May Explain Brittle Diabetes. Okay, so this is one of the excerpts from that study. A 54-year-old male was diagnosed as pre-diabetic, but he had normal blood sugar when he was out walking in the woods or when he was out fishing. But when he was near power lines or near his computer, then he had very, very high blood sugar. So this electromagnetic frequency affects the way his body processes his food, and it affects his blood sugar. So we know if the blood sugar gets too high, we have diabetes, and it causes peripheral nerve damage, it causes capillary damage, and it also can cause us eventually to have toes and feet and legs amputated. It also makes us go blind. So we don't want to tolerate high blood sugar. Low blood sugar, on the other hand, is called hypoglycemia. And people that eat irregularly and their pancreas doesn't do what it needs to do, they can have low blood sugar. And what happens with that is when you miss a meal or you don't eat enough protein in your meal, you can get a little bit shaky, a little bit lightheaded, and that kind of thing. So we want your blood sugar to be stable. One of the ways that you can keep your blood sugar stable is you cannot eat any carbs for breakfast. So the body is made in such a way that what you feed it first thing in the morning is either going to turn it into a fat burning machine or turn it into a sugar burning machine. So if you eat cereal or donuts or kolaches or waffles or pancakes, toast in the morning, if that's the first thing you do, you turn your body into a sugar burning machine, and your blood sugar is going to be all over the place because that's what you introduced into the body first thing in the morning. On the other hand, if you introduce protein in the morning, then you're going to have a fat burning machine. And so we always tell people, especially if you're looking at weight loss goals and that kind of thing, or if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, we want you to start your day off with protein first. Protein stabilizes blood sugar because it takes a while to process that food, and it keeps your blood sugar very, very stable. So we want you to do that. There's another person on this case study. It was a 57-year-old female with type 2 diabetes. She uses exercise to control blood sugar, but when she's out for a walk, her blood sugar, it drops. When she does that same walking at the same speed, at the same distance on a treadmill, her blood sugar spikes. So this study is using these examples, and there's plenty more of these examples to prove that electromagnetic frequencies affect the way your body metabolizes the blood sugar. So this is something that you need to know. So how do you know if you have this? And this is what they're calling type 3 diabetes. Now, again, I always think of type 3 diabetes as dementia, Alzheimer's, that kind of thing. And the mechanism for that is your brain runs on glucose. Something happens as we get older that the brain is no longer able to metabolize the glucose. And so it quits having its food supply. And so the brain kind of goes wonky because it can't do the glucose. Now, I think it has to do with tau proteins and all that kind of thing. And so we're kind of working with some different remedies that we have here in the clinic, and we've had some really, really good results with that. And that's what I normally look at as type 3 diabetes. So if that's something that I'm looking at all the people that are logged on, and none of you guys are dementia age, so thank you, Jesus, for that. But if you have older relatives or you have older parents that look like they're having that dementia situation, there has been quite a few studies that show that if you give your elderly relative 3 to 4 tablespoons of coconut oil a day in as little as 3 weeks, you'll see some improvement. So I'm just going to throw that out there because somebody may need to hear that. But this particular study that we're referencing today causes or names the Electro Smog issue as type 3 diabetes. So, and yes, Julia, I see your message. Happy Friday. And yes, it is the last day of school. And we've got Memorial Day just around the corner. So that's a good thing too. So this is how we know if you may have this electro smog induced diabetes. Does your blood sugar increase after you use or are near Wi-Fi equipment, electronic equipment? It doesn't necessarily have to be Wi-Fi. If it's a computer, you're hardwired, you're plugged into the Ethernet or whatever, you still are getting electronic waves from that. Does your blood sugar regularly spike or drop for no obvious reason? So if your blood sugar is unstable, then that is a sign that you may have this electro smog induced diabetes. Does your blood sugar change in different environments? Well, that would be something that you would have to test when you're out camping. Is your blood sugar stable when you come in and you're in a computerized building, or you've got your smartphone on, or you've got your smart TV on? That has a lot of electromagnetic waves, and it could cause your blood sugar to be erratic. And then the fourth thing is, do you have difficulties regulating your blood pressure? Now, we have a lot of people that have come in lately saying that their blood pressure is pretty erratic. We kind of put it down to white coat syndrome when they go to the doctor and they're all scared and they've had traffic or they've waited an hour before they get to be seen, and then their blood pressure shoots up. So we have kind of put that down to the white coat syndrome. But it also could be this Wi-Fi stuff. So if you are sensitive, and I have things, we have these things in the clinic. This is a little crystal. You can see it right here. We have this for ladies. You can put this on a chain around your neck, and what it does is it repels EMFs. And then we have this little black onyx diode. This is the one that I wear every day. I wear it in the left side of my bra. So I know only a hairdresser knows for sure, but now you guys know. I put this on my person. Electromagnetic smog enters the body through the left. So men, you would put this in the left pocket. I'm assuming you don't wear a bra. Ladies, you can put it in your pocket if you want to. I don't always wear pockets, but I always wear a bra. So I always know that it is with me. It lives in my dressing room. Whenever I get undressed in the evening, I put it on the counter. Then when I get dressed in the morning, I stick it you know where. And so I'm always protected because I'm always in an EMF environment. Now, one of the things that when we go back to live blood cell analysis, right? One of the things we see that if you are in a Wi-Fi, a high geopathic stress, that's kind of a catch-all term. Geopathic stress is anything that has radiation waves, whether it is something that you can feel, a radio wave. We can't see radio waves. We can't see or feel television waves. We can't see gamma radiation. We can't see all those kind of things. But our body responds to it. And so what we want to do is check where we live. We've had people that have come in who have recently moved. They have all these upsets. And what we have found out is before they moved to their new home, they had no problem. When they moved to their new home was right adjacent to a power grid. There were some transformers there. There were all these kind of high wires there. And it caused them to be very, very sensitive to that. When we gave them natural remedies to pull that out, then they had no more reaction. So natural remedies would be spirulina and bee pollen. So you could use a 50-50 ratio, spirulina and bee pollen. We used to have a supplier that made a pill, a capsule that was that way, but we have not been able to get that in quite some time. So we make our own with spirulina and bee pollen, 50-50, and what that does is it negates anything that is in the geopathic stress area if you are susceptible to that. Also, we've got some other remedies that also help with geopathic stress. So if geopathic stress is an issue for you, we've got these little diodes here, or the little necklace that you can put on to help create your own little mini force field that it repels those EMFs. Now, I've been doing that and I've not had any problem with that. Now, on the live blood cell analysis, if you are sensitive to EMFs, you know what's going to happen. Your blood cells, which should be all spread out on the microscope, on the microscopic slide, they should look like little round discs floating freely, doing what they need to be doing. That's what good live blood cells look like. When you are susceptible to electronic stress, electromagnetic frequencies, your blood cells all clump together and they look like rows of pennies. So you know when you take your pennies and you put them into the little red wrapper and you take them down to the bank because you want to get dollars instead of pennies, well, those little lines of blood cells look just like those stacked pennies. And what that means is your blood is not being oxygenated, your blood is not getting the fluidity that it needs in order to nourish your cells. Now, this is what happens, and there's a video that I'm going to attach to this webcam in the comments. I'll attach it in the comments. It's a little 3-minute video, I think. There are videos that are 2.5 hours long. If you want to just go into YouTube and put in electromagnetic frequencies or electro smog is what they call it, then you'll be able to study this until your heart's desire, right? But what we want to do is just give you a 3-minute glimpse of a lady who was on her cell phone and on her computer for approximately 70 minutes. So it's just a slightly over an hour, if I remember right. And you see her blood before she gets on her electronic devices, and then you see her blood afterwards. And she says that when the blood lines up and stacks up like that, it's called a rouleau pattern. And it is also the way people with cancer, it's the way their blood looks. So I'm not saying that everybody that has this rouleau pattern has cancer. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is your EMFs are causing your blood to clump together and not nourish your body the way it needs to. And if that continues, then cancer may be in your future. And so part of the reason that we do Lunch and Learn is because I want you to learn how to be healthy and how to move forward and live the best life that you can live for as long as you can do it. So, that being said, I want to leave you with a takeaway. All of us are in a geopathic stress pattern. Unless you are in the outback somewhere, you know, the wilderness area, the backside of the desert, in a prairie, in a desert, in a wherever, you're going to be in a Wi-Fi enriched environment. Your home, if you have a smart meter on your home, then you're in a very high Wi-Fi electro smog environment. So I want you to protect yourself. So if you go to my LinkedIn page, or if I can post that report here on the Facebook page, I'll try and do that. But they are selling, this is a really good company, they're selling a Swiss device, I think it's a Swiss device, that you can have in your home that neutralizes EMFs in your body. And I think the length of duration of the therapy is like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And you just actually put this device next to you while you're relaxing or whatever. I did purchase one today, so I don't know if it works. It's got all kinds of certification. It's got, certified that it does work and things do change. We do have the heart rate variability monitor, so I'm going to be able to do a before and after testing when I get it. So I'll be able to give you some more information on that. They're kind of expensive. I think it was a little over $400 with shipping and that kind of thing. Like I say, I think it comes from Switzerland, but I could be mistaken on that. But what I want to do is to find out, because we are in a high stress environment where we live. We are in a downtown area, and we are absolutely covered with geopathic stress. So I'll be getting back to you on that, but you can look and do research. I know some of you are just research fiends, and I love that, and I love that about you guys. So giving you a lot to think about. It is a long weekend. It is Memorial Day, so please remember the ones that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. We will be closed on Monday. The clinic will be closed in honor to our fallen soldiers of whatever branch of the military. And so I'm just going to say have a great weekend. Love you much. Be safe on your holiday weekend, and I will see you back
next Friday for Lunch and Learn with me, Dr. Polly, at Abundant Health and Wellness. Have a great weekend.